Hello everyone, thanks for joining me once more. This video is going to be a bit different to what I usually post out there. I'm going to kind of give a bit of a review on what I think of the new Witcher card releases, my experiences of working with them, versing them, and just overall how I think they fit into the scheme of things at this time with how the game's looking. So let's get into the deck builder and we'll just check that out. I'm just going to give a few pointers, really nothing too long and lengthy on this one. So let's search our Witcher cards here. So obviously there's like a whole bunch of cards that got released, as you know, as you can see here. I'm going to try to talk more in this video about the main ones, being Gezras, Larvik, Arnagard, just more of these main kind of cards that you've probably heard of or come across already. The cards are definitely quite strong, and for those of you who've been playing consistently throughout the seasons, have entered this one too, as you probably know, you can see that they've changed the style of gameplay now, so a lot of people have adopted these cards into their decks, and your meta style decks that you usually see, say the Skellige, Patrocidal Fury kind of decks, or say Scoia'tael movement decks, they're looking different now. So a lot of people have incorporated all these new cards into their decks, which is good, you know. But as I said, as is the title for this video, don't fall for the hype, and here's why. So you can see there are some drawbacks to these cards, even though they are as strong as they are. So I mean, let's take a look at this one here, Gezras. At the end of your turn, move yourself to the ranged row and boost a random allied unit on this row by 1. So that's probably fairly easy for the person using this card to set up. I mean, unless their opponent's got some kind of movement abilities, which would be fairly rare, unless it's Scoia'tael. But if you take a look here, from the ranged row ability, it says at the end of your turn, move yourself to the melee row and damage a random enemy unit on the opposite row by 1. So here's the thing, like, you could be versing Scoia'tael, and once you know those kinds of decks and how they open up and what kind of strategy they're going to be playing, by the time you get to the final round, you're already anticipating this play. You're expecting your opponent to play Gezras. So this card could lose a fair amount of value just if you avoid stacking your units on the melee row. Okay, so for example, if you're going to verse a movement deck and you see him playing all the Witcher cards, all the new stuff coming out, you're expecting this one in the end, just stack your cards on the ranged row. I've done it a few times, and they definitely, you know, this card loses a lot of its advantage, for sure. Moving on. Remove boost from all units in your deck, then boost this unit by the same amount. I haven't had too much experience versing this card, but I've had a few matches with it played. So obviously, you know, a weakness for this one is just, you know, Geralt, yrden. So even though it's got immunity, yrden from Geralt's going to affect the entire row. So anything boosted in the row where Geralt is played, it's going to clean that out. So I mean, yeah, it's a pretty sick card and all. Immunity's quite good. But once again, as you can see, there's cards out there that can take these cards out if you can anticipate the opponent's play. The Arnagard card here, quite good. This is the one I was using myself. I was trying to work on developing a new deck So I kind of went along, you know, seeing all these new Witcher cards come out. I wanted to see if I can make the best deck out of these new Witcher cards. Because for now I've been going by my Battle Trance deck. I'm using Crow Mother, you know, Draco Turtle, the scenario. As you guys, I'm pretty sure you already know, it's my kind of go-to deck when I'm going pro, as I have been even this season now. At rank 1 I am, just going off that deck. So I was incorporating a deck from scratch. You can see it up here, Witches of the Isles I've named it. It's pretty much like a... It's got all the Witcher cards of the Skellige set in there. The drawback with this card... So obviously gain 1 armor for every damaged unit. So once again, you know, if your opponent is going to anticipate you playing this, they can just heal their units if they got that potential. So then that takes armor gaining ability out. Not only that, this unit gets damaged also by units that are played. So when your opponent plays a unit, damage that unit by Anagard's power and damage Anagard by that unit's power. So it's susceptible to getting damaged. So it's not gonna necessarily last unless you have Sucrose next to it. So for those of you that don't know what card that is, it's this one here. So this card prevents the unit to the left of Sucrose from taking any damage. So say if someone's got a deck where they're playing Anagard, it's gonna work best if they got Sucrose paired up with it. So that way any unit that drops, it's gonna get damaged by Anagard, but the damage does not come back. It will not affect the unit because Sucrose will prevent it from taking any damage. So what does that tell us then really about that card too? It means you gotta have a few things in place really for this card to do some serious damage. I mean, when I was using this card, it works mad if you can have like a defender, Sucrose, and then Anagard lined up together, like all that protection. Yeah, that works mad. Like nothing's gonna get through to Sucrose to stop him from preventing Anagard from getting damaged. It's going to protect the row. Anagard can keep working its ability. It's going to do 7 damage to any unit that drops. I mean, that's really good. Kind of, that's a really good power play there. But think about it. Think about what goes in to set that up. Like, that means you got to draw the right cards. Sucrose has to remain on the field, not get taken out by something. So yeah, it's like a strong card, but if you don't have the things aligned for it, you're kind of losing value, you know. So it's got some drawbacks there. It does. You know, this season came out, as I said, I tried putting together a deck, the Skellige deck set of Witcher cards, and you know, to be honest, it could be my own inexperience with the cards and that style of play, but I was losing my mind trying to figure out how to make it as strong as possible. I was working on that day and night, trying to make a solid deck with those new Witcher cards, but performance wise, I could see it does not perform as good as my alchemy deck, the Battle Trance deck. I have this one here, even though they're, you know, new releases and they got all these kinds of abilities. When I was playing my that Skellige Witcher deck with those new Witcher cards, it was kind of like 50-50 my results. Then when I went back to my Battle Trance deck, I started ranking up again, and I'm back at rank 1 already, just jumping back on this deck. So that kind of proves to me that you know, don't fall for the hype necessarily just because you're seeing some new cards released and whatnot, and people are saying, oh, they look so good and they do all these abilities. Like, you know, so what? if they don't, if you have a deck that's already good and there's new cards being released, you want to see what cards can add to your current deck. You know, don't just go and change your whole thing up. Find your decks that you enjoy to play with, stick with them, and be as practical as you can be with what you implement. You know, you'd be surprised the old school still works. You know, there's solid strategies out there. Running the scenarios, those kinds of gameplay, they're good. People might find them boring, but they still work, you know. So that could come down to what you're interested in too. Maybe people are just bored of the cards they play, they want to try a new style. Yeah, that's fine too. But I'm talking more from a perspective of going pro and maintaining that. If that's your focus and you really want to play at the top level all the time and stay there, like, you just gotta know really what kind of deck is you, what feels like it's you, and you just keep that and maintain that and you build on it. And just don't fall for the hype of new cards coming out and switching up your whole thing, because you may be surprised. So yeah, I hope this has been informative for you. Just sharing my thoughts a bit on these new releases. As I said, they are solid cards, they are. But just keep in mind, you know, the provision cost of the card, how much you're investing in that in your deck. Like, if your whole deck revolves around setting up that play, and then think of the probabilities of you drawing everything you need to in order to make that play happen and to work. You know, those are the kinds of things you got to think of when you're deck building. So yeah. Also, it may be worth mentioning, like, if you guys are interested in playing at a pro level, don't think you have to make in-game purchases, you know, like spend money to play this game. You don't have to do that. Don't get caught up in that, thinking you have to buy all these kegs and sets and stuff like that, like with your own cash I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like coin you make in the game, right? Just from like playing and stuff and rewards and whatnot, unlocking achievements. I'm talking about like actually spending your own dollars on this game. Since I've played the game, I've never spent any of my personal cash on it. I've just played and just, you know, unlocked whatever I needed to through normal gameplay. So, and I've reached pro level, you know, a good number of times now, and as you can see, I'm just about to go back there again. So, just want to share that with you guys coming up to the higher ranks. You know, like, don't get pressured into thinking you have to buy, you know, you have to spend. You don't have to. Be wise with your deck building. Like, once again, figure out what deck feels like it's you, and then take your time to kind of do your research and stuff and see what kind of strategies are out there. And once you're very certain on what kind of style you want to play, then start spending your scraps. You know, don't just go like adding, you know, spending all your scraps on cards just because they're very strong, and then like you find they don't really fit well with the flow of your deck. Like, yeah, just some practical and kind of common sense things to think about. So yes, you can play Gwent on a poor man's budget, like I have. Definitely don't consider myself rich in the world of Gwent. And as you can see, I've made it to the top still, so you can too. So, in closing, don't fall for the hype. Always remember to assess the decks that are out there, the cards that are out there. Figure out the weaknesses of the cards, your strategy. How does your current strategy fit into all of that? If you find your deck is underperforming constantly and you're losing too many times, yeah, then that's grounds to consider resetting things, let's say. But if you're losing by small margins and you feel you're giving your opponent a good go, that could more or less just come down to you learning and anticipating their kind of play, learning new cards that they're using if you haven't seen them before, and chance. So have a think about that, guys. Feel free to share your thoughts. These are just mine on the new card releases. As I said, definitely not knocking them. They're sick cards. I like them too, but they do have their drawbacks, and just trying to share some positive thoughts for you guys who are deck building out there and struggling to kind of put your scraps together to put a nice deck intact. So don't want you guys getting caught up in some hype if they don't really work as best as some other cards may as well. So I mean, if you feel like you've been having some good performances with these decks, share your thoughts too. As I said, for me, I still find my old school deck works best among these decks that I'm versing using all these new ones. I'm still performing good. So feel free to share your experiences too. Thank you very much as always for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. I'm looking into opening a Twitch channel. Pretty much a rookie when it comes to that. I'm just starting to learn about it and what goes into it. So looking to expand on things in the future. If you can continue to like, comment and subscribe, really appreciate it. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see. I'm just going to kind of start posting random different kinds of things, maybe sometimes gameplay, maybe sometimes some analysis of some things, just like this one, bit of an analysis on the new cards that have been released, or if you want some kind of videos that are like tips related on how to get to the pro rank or how to build good decks or whatnot, just let me know, and I'll make my future videos in those directions, because that's what I'm here for, develop content for you guys. It's just something fun I enjoy to do, but why not do it together, right? So thank you once more, good luck with your Gwenting, and really look forward to talking to you soon. See you.